By the way, I replaced the New York, not the New York, the Chicago professor story with the Californians want more guns in schools. Forgot about it again. This time I'm going to get it in there. Knows how to party. Oh, Billy.
I still don't think that's as good as I'm going back to Cali.
Oh, no. Back to Cali. I don't think so.
Ladies love Cool James.
There is nobody in hip hop that has remained as relevant as him for as long as he has.
Snoop. Come on, you got to give it to Snoop.
Yeah, Snoop though didn't come around. LL Cool J predated Snoop,
Yes, he did.
but having said that, he's also more culturally relevant now than LL Cool J was. Is there we go.
Yes.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. That's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most, here on The Rundown. Two-way views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
Mike. What day is it, Mike? Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as we like to say, the fun is all in the trying.
That's it. That's right. Craig, let me ask you a question. How many
Yes, sir.
How many times a year do you break down your studio? Like for travel kind of stuff?
Well, I do it less now because I'm trying to develop like a travel studio and a home studio, but probably four or five times a year.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I think totally about 2 to 3. I have a small travel studio that I could travel with, but still not pleased with it. But I'm asking because, we're 2 weeks back from NRA. It's still not quite. And I'm not sure if are my words being slurred at all? Am I slurring my words?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but that may be the bourbon.
Well, no, I haven't had the bourbon yet. I'm just curious because if I'm slurring the words, because I might, if my words sound okay to you, then I probably got an LED light problem. It's flickering over here. Just want to make sure it's not stroking.
You're just trying to see if you're having a stroke. Well, if that LED light is flickering, it may cause one.
Yeah, well, I'm all right with the flickering. That doesn't bother me. It's just I'm going to be doing this the whole night. Like, who's behind me?
Well, it's better than when you have a fly join you for the show, where you're just kind of always going to...
Listen, you don't know. You've been here. You've seen these things.
Yes.
These things, they come past you, and you know it's the same fly as before because you read the tail numbers on it. You're like, oh,
exactly. And
Bravo, right? Look at them go.
Right, and the fact that they're flipping you the bird doesn't help when it comes to distractions.
Yeah, when a fly comes past you doing this nonsense.
Nothing like a fly giving you the finger.
Yeah, you can hear them yelling at you and everything. Get out of the way!
I'm flying here!
I'm flying here!
Sometimes, bruh, it just be like it.
Yep.
I wish I could give you a better excuse, but sometimes it just be like that.
Listen, I'll take the fly over the fires, mudslides, earthquakes, Newsom,
hurricanes,
Would you take
fence climbing gators.
Yeah. Or the fence plowing gators, one or the other. Yeah.
Oh yeah, fence plowing games. Now that, like I said, that was a really interesting thing to witness. At least I'm glad to say I did not witness it live, but it was scary enough watching it on video.
Yeah, at least when these gators climbing a gate, you could, climbing a fence, you could cheer for the fence. You know,
Right.
when it just walks through a wrought iron gate in the fence, you're just like, and he didn't even slow down. Just,
No.
Like Superman walking through it,
Right. And yet someone was, I'm trying to think of the appropriate word. They were, I don't want to say brave, but they hung out there and they recorded it. Now, I guess if you had been on the other side of the wrought iron fence and it was coming towards you, I would have probably gotten out of there.
Listen, the word you're looking for is Florida. There's always somebody Florida enough to think they can handle that gator. They'll go up and, oh, look at that gator. They'll jump on his back, and they'll just start riding him around and throw a towel over him, and they think they can just float. And that's the attitude down here. Man, that guy's so Florida. Look at him go,
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the infamous Florida Man game. For those of you who do not know about the Florida Man game, it is where you put in the word, you put in your birth date, just the month and the year. I mean, the month and the day, and then you type in a Florida Man and see what news stories come up. It is quite interesting.
Yeah, we get new ones every day here too. Every day.
I have never, no matter who's done it, no matter what day, I have never not been entertained by the outcome of that one.
Yeah, good stuff. I guess some good Florida Man stories we'll have to tell another day when we.
We'll definitely have to tell another day. Let's get into today's stories, and we're going to go ahead and start. Before we get into those, we're going to go ahead and start with a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep, let's say hi to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Now you get yourself some AR barrels, any length you desire, any caliber you desire for your next AR rifle, AR pistol, any AR platform you want. They're there for you. That's hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting a good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. You want the best tactical concealed holsters on the market? Get on over to hogholsters.com. That's hogholsters.com, HAWG holsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And you want the best in field gear, tactical gear, law enforcement, military, whatever it may be. You can think of gear, they got it, where you get everything except the gun.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment once again and visit our sponsors. All you have to do is follow the links in the description to this program. Go there, follow the link, check them out, spend some money with them. Make sure you tell them it was the guys over at The Rundown that sent you. Also want to remind you, this program is live. That's right. We are live on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, on Twitter. We are out there. We are talking to you live. So we're taking your comments. So if you want to, just give a shout out to the program, let folks know what's up, go ahead and do that. And if we find it to be interesting, we will go ahead and we will share it.
Just so everybody knows, that's an AI cigar. It's not real.
Yeah, sure it is. Anyway, all that having been said, Mr. Mike paid off by Big Tobacco.
Not paid by Big Tobacco, by the way.
He is Big Tobacco. I forgot.
You know how much cancer comes from cigars, from good cigars? Almost none.
Dude, go ahead, give a quick shout out for your cigar company.
Oh, smokysnacks.com. It's you find the info page on it right now. It's not up completely. Smoky-snacks.com. Smoky-snacks.com. And it's funny you say that because today I'm smoking a Buffalo Trace, not a Smoky Snack. So.
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. Well, all I can say is I've had more than several of their flavors, and they are all good. So if you get a chance.
Whoa. No, we don't have flavors. That's not a California cigar company. We don't have
know what I mean. Different. I'm sorry. Different. Not being a full aficionado, what do you call the different styles of cigars?
You get the chocolate ones out there, do you? So you can hollow them out and put in tobacco?
No, actually, flavored tobacco is illegal in California. Damn it. Not that I smoke flavored cigars, but damn.
Habano, the two that you carry right now are Habano, which is a mild or medium blend, and then the Maduro, which is a heavy to dark blend.
There you go. Heavy to dark, because that's how he likes them. Heavy to dark.
Heavy to dark, baby. I like it on parole.
Heavy to dark and on parole.
I got cigars with an ankle bracelet on them.
There you go. That is, well, that's Mike. That's just kind of how Mike does it. Oh, hey, quick shout out. We got Mr. Patrick Collins over at the Gun Food is watching us from he's from their West Warehouse. So he's watching us from the Gun Food West Warehouse. So had a chance to hang out with him. He had a nice little event there. Not little. It was actually a decent sized event there when we were at NRA, the little rooftop cookout / cigars and liqueurs. But we had a good time. So thank you for hosting us, sir. Looking forward to hanging out with you again real soon.
It's pretty nice. They had poker in the front, liquor in the rear.
Moving right along, let's get into today's stories. And we're going to start with a story here from California. I know some of you out there are like, Craig, why are we talking about California? Because let's just be real. The leading candidates for President of the United States in 2028 on the Democratic side, they're from California. And those who are pushing the policies that we can see under the Biden administration are working to ruin the country. Guess where they originated? That's right. They originated from the great state of California. So we're going to talk a little bit about California and $8 a gallon gas. Now, the funny part is I had a friend of mine who sits on the school board with me who was adamant that Trump said that gas prices were going to come down and I can't believe I just paid $5 a gallon for gas and yada, yada, yada. Well, and I explained to him, look, it's because of California policies. And by the way, I had to warn him, it's going to get worse because California policies have only gotten worse. And here is a great example of it. The California Globe has an article here talking about California facing $8.43 a gallon gas, a 75% increase as refineries close. Now, just to kind of give you a heads up here, one of the things that passed here in the state of California was a requirement. And what this requirement is going to require is that if you refine gas in the state of California, you have to keep a certain amount on hand, right? In other words, you have to have enough extra storage in case, there's a reason why, in case there's a reason why there's a shortage. Like, for example, if you have to shut down for maintenance, if maybe another oil refinery shuts down, or if there's a storm, something like that, right? Which is one of the reasons why you see it spike in California, go up and a lot of times go up and down. Now, mind you, it is environmental regulations in California that have made it such that we have not created or built a new oil refinery in the state of California since 1969. For those of you unaware, that's the year that I was born. And if the gray hair doesn't reveal that, I'm slightly older. I refuse to claim old. But it's been that long. Our oil refineries in California are that old. Now, on top of it, they want them to have storage capacity that, guess what? Environmental regulations will not let them expand in order to be able to create that level of storage. So, two of the major refiners of oil in the state of California have decided we're out of here. One of them is going to be gone by the end of this year, and the other one's going to be gone not long thereafter. So as a result, we're likely to see reduction in capacity. Now, the reason why this is so important in particular to California, why it specifically affects California, is these are two of only a handful of oil refiners that actually produce California gas. When I say California gas, I mean we have higher emission standards than anyone else in the country. So because of that, no one else produces gas for California except for these refineries. So Mike, I'm sharing this because this is the sort of stuff they want to do at the federal level. This is the sort of stuff they want to create at the federal level. So between the environmental standards, between now the storage standards, and I won't even get into the gas tax that's now increases automatically every year with the cost of living, the reason it's so expensive, gas is going to be so expensive in California, is because of California politicians, specifically Democratic California politicians. It's a perfect example of you get what you pay for.
Yeah, Craig, isn't it ironic, by the way, that the way the law is structured, that if you want to increase benefits Like your cost of living allowance is going to go up, Social Security will go up, retirement funds will go up, percentage for that military and federal employees get paid, that goes up. They have to vote each year to get that approved. So every time there's an increase, they have to vote per year. But if they want to tax you, they could put that on a 20-year plan and pass it once and not have to worry about it. And every year for the next 20 years, it goes up. Isn't it weird the way that when it's in the government's favor, it works out for them?
Well, yeah, and it used to be that used to be required, but what happened was they put a thing on the ballot, or not put a thing. They passed a piece of legislation that put this increase in place and actually tied the increases to the cost of living. And when Californians went to challenge it, when taxpayers went to challenge it, they actually got a proposition on the ballot. Well, the Attorney General, Rob Bonta, in the title and summary, mentioned nothing about the fact that it would have repealed an automatic every year tax increase, but actually then said in the summary, he didn't mention taxes at all. All he said was it's going to cut funding for much needed transportation projects. And that passed as the title and summary. You know, that thing that's supposed to be objective, telling voters objectively what a ballot proposition does.
Yeah. I just thought it was ironic that, you could pass multi-year, take away from you, but it's only single year, give more to you. And listen, you've got to, first off, I know that President Trump's working on extending the wall up around Nevada and Oregon to keep you guys in California. So we don't need that nonsense coming out. Keep your Democrat politicians, keep your running for federal office out of there. It's our gas here is hovering about $3 a gallon, and that's expensive. You and I were in Georgia 2 weeks ago, and it was on the most expensive part, $2.65, $2.75 a gallon. So it sucks to be you guys. That's all I could say.
Well, it most definitely, when it comes to cost of living, it most definitely can. But folks, once again, I'm just going to tell you, keep an eye when a California politician raises his eyes and say, "Hey, I want to run for federal office," especially Gavin Newsom, because he's at least I'll give Kamala Harris this. At least she's like owning her liberalism. Gavin Newsom is acting like, none of that was me, man. I'm against men and women's sports. I want to make California more affordable. They're all just, dude is a liar. He's a flat out liar.
He wants to be president,
Right.
He's playing to the crowd, baby. He's playing to the crowd. She's just an idiot. Not that she doesn't have a plan or changing her plan. It said she didn't have a plan to begin with. Her plan was, I'm going to keep doing what Joe's doing.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, she's an idiot. I do not disagree with that assessment one bit. Anyway, but us in California, we're not the only ones that are getting bamboozled. In fact, there in New York, you might know that Letitia James, the Attorney General there, is let's just say that she's in a little bit of trouble and that she's being investigated for basically, lying on real estate forms in order to get a favorable interest rate. There's somebody else, Mike, maybe you can remind me, who else was accused of such a thing, and who was the accuser of that? I'm wondering.
I think
any idea?
It was number 92.
Number 92?
The 45th and 47th presidents of the United States.
Oh, okay. So it was the president of the United States. And who was his accuser?
That would be Letitia James.
That would be Letitia James. And, that's interesting because, so now we know that she's under investigation. And, let's just say that the people of New York, of the fine state of New York, let's just say that, they must have her back because it looks like with language that's been included into a bill that taxpayers will be on the hook for her legal bills, not for anything she did as Attorney General, but for what she has done when it comes to this property fraud. And I only call it fraud because that's what she called it when someone else did it. It says here taxpayers could be on the hook for legal bills for New York Attorney General Letitia James racks up during Justice Department's probes into her alleged fraud real estate dealings, the Post learned. Albany Democrats are expected to sign off on a provision allowing certain officials to tap into a $10 million fund to cover, quote, any reasonable attorney's fees and expenses incurred as a part of a Trump administration-led probe tied to their state-based employment. The language is being slipped into New York's operations budget bill, one of several expected to be made public and voted on starting Wednesday as the legislature move past next year's fiscal plan. Move to pass next year's fiscal plan. Multiple sources told the Post that the specific language in the bill would apply to James's looming legal fight. It would also cover other state employees whom Trump administration considers going after, the sources added. While the bill language shared with the Post doesn't mention James by name, the relevant section indicates state employees could be covered if the legally compulsive process was initiated by the U.S. government after January 1st, 2025. James, who infamously declared that no one is above the law when she was prosecuting former President Donald Trump, was hit with a DOJ criminal referral for instances alleging mortgage fraud last month. Now, here's a copy of the form that she is looking at here. Now, this is for a property that's in Virginia, you might see here. And it says that her principal residence, that this is going to be her principal residence. And that was in August of 2024. Now, she's not allowed, her permanent residence as the Attorney General in the state of New York, I don't believe that she's allowed to do that in Virginia. Sounds like a lie to me.
Yeah, it would be also because one of the contingencies of her job as the Attorney General is she must reside, her primary residence, in the state of New York. So she's already agreed to that. There's paperwork on that as well. So she's doubly screwed on that. She's not gonna be able to back away from it. Craig, I think that this, even if it gets through, and it gets passed, they're never going to be able to use it. But after this passes, or once this gets through their House, their Senate, and the governor signs off, I don't think it'll ever be used for her because, a prominent New York Republican, I don't know, Zeldin or Stefanik or somebody like that will come forward and file suit on behalf of the people of New York and have it an injunction put in place to block that funds going to her. There's no way in the world they let this happen. No way in the world that the criminal acts she does individually, she gets the state to pay for her. No way.
Right. I mean, let's be real. Donald Trump had to pay for his own legal fees. Now, mind you, it was actually donors who paid for his legal fees. But the point was that the state taxpayers or the federal taxpayers were not liable for it, even though it literally the only reason he was being sued was because he was president of the United States and decided to run again. I just think this stuff is wrong. If this were to, in fact, be included, I would, let's just say that I hope that the people who support it are called out by their voters and held accountable.
And I think it will. I think it will happen. And listen, she's free to go out and, crowd fund, whatever she wants to get her defense paid for as well. And I'm sure her supporters would do it as long as it's not compulsory to the taxpayers of New York.
Right. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to, is the taxpayers of New York should not have to pay for. And by the way, her criminal misdoings, while she was in office, think about this, man. She literally was doing this and filling this out while she was prosecuting Donald Trump.
Yeah. And said publicly, no one is above the law.
Well, maybe her middle name is No One.
That's right. Could be. Yeah.
Could be. That would explain a lot.
Letitia No One James. That actually makes sense. That makes more sense now.
I'll bet you it does. All right, folks. That brings us to our next story. And I've skipped this 2 days in a row, and I wanted to make sure I did. I got it in there today because this, once again, is a sign that maybe all is not, I won't say not all is not lost, but this is definitely a sign that there is some, at least a bit of common sense in the state of California. And this has to do with a poll that was done by the PPIC that basically said that most Californians want more guns in schools. We'll read here, a majority of Californians support schools hiring armed police officers, according to a new poll. California is one of the most progressive states in the nation, and its residents generally support more gun control measures and highlight concerns about the police, according to surveys. Despite those stances, this poll suggests having armed officers in schools is popular, even in the deep blue state. The survey comes as shootings at schools have become regular headlines. There are 39 school shootings resulting in injuries across the United States in 2024, according to data from Education Week. These shootings have fueled calls for more stringent gun laws among many Americans, but others say policy efforts around mental health are needed. Proponents of armed officers in schools say they believe they would help prevent shootings, but critics say they would do little to keep students safer. A new poll by the Public Policy Institute of California found that residents of the Golden State are broadly concerned about school shootings and view armed officers in schools as a potential measure to prevent them. The survey found that 72% of Californians and 81% of public school parents are either very or somewhat concerned about school shootings. Only 9% of those living in the state said they aren't concerned about school shootings at all. Meanwhile, 71% of residents and 76% of public school parents said they support having armed police officers in school. 17% of all Californians somewhat oppose the idea, while 11% say they strongly oppose it, the poll found. Now, Mike, what this basically means is that despite their feelings on gun control, and I would venture to say that in many cases, people's position on gun control is based on ignorance because they don't know what gun control is already in place in the state of California. A lot of things they say they want, we already exist in California, and it hasn't helped. But all that having been said, I mean, we're talking 71% of voters, of people, 76%, that's 3/4 of public school parents say they want armed officers in schools, yet the California legislature just voted down a measure that would have done just that.
Yeah, living in fairy tale land. That's where your elected officials are. I can tell you, Craig, when you posted this up, it says Californians want more guns in schools. I thought this was a poll of Bloods and Crips. I didn't realize it was an actual poll of actual people that were interested in the issue. Craig, I don't understand how you have any problems in schools in California with guns or any gun crime at all in California. You have the most amount of gun laws in any state in the union. You should have zero problems at all. I mean, if you put the gun law in place, Craig, what's the problem?
Well, when I was coming up in schools, we didn't have necessarily armed officers in elementary schools, but we did have armed officers in my middle school. We had them in my high school. In fact, they were they were actual police officers, and never had any problem. In fact, they weren't just police officers. They were also like the football coach and the track coach. And I mean, they were out there, they were involved and engaged, and they were part of the school community.
Yeah, it was your full-time DARE officer. That's who they were in middle schools and high schools. They were there. And in elementary school, they used to come once a week. That was the funding source. But yeah, listen, do we? I don't get what the problem is. We can't have them. Should we take fire extinguishers and fire hoses out of the high schools? I mean, we got firemen down the block. We can just call them when we need them, right? Why do we have to keep that stuff in the school?
Exactly. Because they realize that in those cases, there's a reason why we have fire extinguishers. There's a reason why we have defibrillators and first aid kits. It is because in those areas, we recognize that you are your own first responder, or we are our own first responder. I don't understand why when it comes to public safety or when it comes to defending ourselves from a criminal attack, we don't understand the same thing.
Because it's the policy hill that they've chosen to die on. And unfortunately, it's not them dying. It's the innocent victims in the schools.
Right. Exactly. And they don't care about the victims. They claim to care about the victims, but if they care more about their ideology, because if they actually looked at the data will show you that when there's an armed officer when there's anyone armed on campus, when there is someone who is armed on campus, it is a lot less likely that there is going to be a successful active shooter situation. They generally if there is one, they tend to end a lot sooner with a lot fewer fatalities.
Craig, we know, I mean, it's proven fact now. Proven fact. We don't have to go any further. I mean, actual fact, no joking around. Democrats hate kids, okay? They don't like kids with cancer that are doing well. They don't want to see kids not get shot. They hate kids. They don't like kids at all.
Yes, it is a proven fact, seeing as how they want to be able to have their lives snuffed out in their mother's womb and want to have taxpayers pay for it. The very fact that they want to see them or allow them for them to be chemically castrated. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you one bit.
In retrospect, there's one type of kid they like, Craig. Anchor babies.
They do like anchor babies. They also in, like, for example, in the state of California, where they have made it. They refuse to make it a felony, or they don't want it to be a felony for someone who is 16 or 17 to be trafficked, to be trafficked for sex. They like them too. So they like minors being trafficked for sex. They do like that as well.
Anchor babies. That's it. So they like illegal immigrant kids, but they
Right.
don't like American kids. Yeah.
There you go. They do not like American kids. Or at least that's what their policy solutions would lead us to believe.
That's right. Yep.
I don't know. Y'all prove me wrong. If you disagree with me, you're more than happy to prove me wrong. But I think I'm pretty much right on this one. Speaking of right and speaking of crime, despite what the mainstream media would have you believe, polling numbers, when you actually talk to the American people actually believe that President Trump is doing quite well. We already know they love what he's doing. They love what he's doing on the border. We already know that they love what he's doing in a number of different areas. Tariffs, it's not as bad as you would think, but they still believe he would do better than any of the Democrats. But one other area that was a big, huge area during the campaign, that had to do with crime. And let's just say that they're much, much happier with how Donald Trump is doing on crime than they were how Joe Biden was doing on crime.
The idea, Alcatraz, you think law and order, you think Donald Trump. I mean, look here. All right, net approval rating handling crime. What do we have here? We have a positive rating for Donald Trump, even in the most recent polling. Look at that, at plus 2 points. Far better than Joe Biden, who was so far underwater. My goodness, he was setting records at minus 26 points. You rarely ever see it. So Donald Trump ran in part on law and order. It was one of the reasons that he got elected. And at this particular point, Americans like what they're hearing from him on the issue of crime. And you see this right here with a plus 2 net approval rating, far better than Joe Biden left office with back in 2024.
How does this then compare to how people viewed it in the first term?
Yeah, so this is another interesting thing, right? We've compared Donald Trump's first term to now his second term. And what do we see here? We see that Donald Trump's net approval rating on handling crime is far better now at plus 2 points, the view of term number 2, than we go back to a retrospective approval rating back in March of 2024, in which he was underwater at minus 13 points. So he's doing 15 points better in terms of how people are viewing his handling of crime now than he was doing back in March of 2024. So when you hear Donald Trump talking about stuff like Alcatraz, yes, I know it's late night fodder for a lot of different folks, but what it actually speaks to is Donald Trump focusing the American people's attention on an issue in which they actually do like what he's doing. And you see it here with a net positive approval rating of plus 2 points, which again is 15 points higher than what we saw for Donald Trump in term numero uno.
So basically, Donald Trump is beating Donald Trump.
Yeah. He's 28 points ahead of Biden and 15 points ahead of Trump. So that's pretty neat. And by the way, just masterful on this guy's part again, right? He throws out there, I don't know, maybe we'll bring Alcatraz around again. We'll use that for keeping illegals. He knows that's never going to happen, and everybody on the Republican side knows that's not going to happen. But what's happened now? All the Democrats are screaming Alcatraz. All the pundits are screaming Alcatraz. The media is screaming Alcatraz. And guess what they're doing, Craig? Drawing attention to the problem he wanted to draw attention to. Thank you.
That's pretty much. I mean, I've always believed this about Donald Trump. When you start hearing him say crazy things, start looking around because he's distracting you from something. There's something he is distracting you from. It's the only logical explanation for some of the things he says or does that, are that speak to the issue.
On this case, he's trying to draw your attention to the issue.
Yes.
By saying a crazy thing. Yeah.
Well, exactly. But because, and here's the other thing. One of the reasons why people believe he's doing such a good job is because when you look at who he is deporting, he's targeting specifically criminals.
Oh. What about Maryland fathers, Craig? Oh my God, the horror.
You mean if the Maryland father happens to be an illegal immigrant criminal, I'm all for it.
Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Get on the bus.
So sad. Bye.
Yeah.
I don't understand why this is an issue for some folks, but it is. Anyway, enough to be said on that. We've now arrived at our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, no spaces. Get your Hog Holster today. You might know that as of today, if you do not have a real ID, then supposedly you're not going to be able to fly in these United States anymore. And according to our good friends over at the Babylon Bee, fake news that you can trust, AOC may be among that group. Says here, AOC unable to obtain real ID because she died on January 6th and is a ghost.
Who's going to give me my bourbon rocks now?
I don't know, but you're going to have to get yourself a new bartender.
Damn it.
Speaking of crime and dealing with crime, the Gulf of Mexico is not the only body of water that President Trump has renamed. According to our good friends once again over at the Babylon Bee, Trump renames San Francisco Bay, quote, the Gulf of Criminals.
Yep. Very true. He's good at renaming stuff, right?
He is very good at renaming stuff. And when you consider the fact that they're surrounded by a bunch of liberal municipalities, you've got Oakland, you've got San Francisco, you've got Richmond, you've got Berkeley. Yeah, I think it could kind of fit.
Yeah.
It could kind of fit right there. Also related in Alcatraz or San Francisco Bay Area news, Trump sends Nicolas Cage to reoccupy Alcatraz.
He could do it.
He could do it because he knows he's already escaped from there once.
Agent Goodspeed. That's his name.
Agent Goodspeed.
Yep.
He's a chemical super freak.
He is a chemical super freak. Yep. And you like Elton John? Because you could be the Rocket Man. You're the Rocket Man.
See, now I got to go watch that movie now. Now I got to go watch it again.
It's a pretty good movie.
It is a very good. The Rock, especially for its time, was definitely very good. You got Ed Harris, you got Sean Connery, you've got Nicolas Cage. What more could you ask for?
Yeah. The Rock. If The Rock had been in The Rock, that would have been better, right?
If The Rock had been in The Rock, that would actually make a good sequel. All right, folks. Well, that's going to bring us to the end of our program. But before we go, we're going to do what we do, and that is give one more quick shout out to our sponsors.
Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. Go ahead over there, get yourself some AR barrels.